Good evening to you and yours, and welcome back to the Brevard Sports Network. It's been a busy day here on BSN. Obviously, the announcement of the new NIL, and of course, our spring football recaps. We begin our spring football recaps this week, and tonight, of course, we began yesterday with new head coach Tyrone Giscombe at Rock Ladies, but tonight we continue with Coach Ted Kimmey and Coach Logan Halleck. Logan Halleck of Astronaut, and Ted Kimmey of Cocoa Beach. First up tonight is a man we're all familiar with. Of course, he built the satellite football program in his time over there, did some terrific things, broke some school records, set some new ones, and now he travels down the A1A or up the A1A and takes it to Cocoa Beach. Please help me welcome the Minutemen head football coach and the athletic director, I might add as well, head coach Ted Kimmey. Coach, welcome back to BSN.
Yes, sir. Back in action. It's crazy, but couldn't keep me off the sidelines, man.
No, we sure could. Coach, I mean, let's begin here today, a big day. I know that you play sort of an independent schedule, but what's your thoughts on this NIL with what the FHSAA did today? As an athletic director, this is something that you are going to have to obviously keep a close eye on.
Yeah, no doubt. It's I mean, I feel like it was the inevitable, you know what I mean? And you know, and I don't mean that in like a negative sense or even a positive one, but I felt like, you know, we do have to keep up with the current times that we're in nowadays. And you know, I do feel like, especially from a public school perspective, you're constantly monitoring your athletic budget on, gates and making sure that you can fund all your programs on campus. And like that's like the bare minimum to accomplish. So,
Right.
like obviously this is a whole new landscape that we're going to have to navigate through. And I'm sure there'll be challenges, but at the end of the day, if our student athletes can profit off of their performance and their marketability, then obviously that's the new landscape that we're in, and more power to them.
No, I'm with you. And let me ask you this: as an athletic director, how and I don't mean to make this about NIL, but I'm curious to get your take on this. How do you approach it? I mean, what do you say to your student athletes?
Yeah, I think nowadays, I mean, we're going to have to get creative because I think at the end of the day, we serve our community, we serve our school, most importantly, we serve our kids.
Yeah.
So like, we have to make sure that not only that they're educated on the rules and the inner workings. I'm not even familiar with them yet, right?
Right.
So, but we got to make sure they're educated on what's allowed and what's not allowed. But also getting creative and there's a lot of community members, and there's a lot of individuals and businesses that I know will be excited to represent our kids, but also our kids represent them. So it's a new landscape, but I think it's important to educate families on and kids on what's the right way to do it. But obviously I got to dive into it, and we all as coaches and athletic directors got to figure it out first. So
yeah,
lot more to follow.
Well, I'll say this, Coach. If I have done a deep dive into it, and if we can help in any way, I'd be more than happy to talk to your team. And I offer that service to anybody out there that I've read this thing up one side and back down the other. So we're here if you need us, Coach. Look, this program over the last 2 years was a program that really felt like to me, the football program was like approaching that corner to turn. And then last year, obviously in football, injuries will derail seasons like that. That seemed to be the case for this program last year. But this is it's sort of the same, but it's kind of different with you in terms of what you did at Satellite to there. Tell me about your spring.
Yeah, it was great. I'll be honest with you, Alan. It's the most fun I've had coaching football in my career, and I say that not as a knock to my past, but more just like, there's an element to when it's a smaller school. It's it's a smaller roster and smaller staff, and you get to really kind of get in the trenches a little bit more and make more of an impact with the individual kid. And obviously, when I was at the school down south there for a while, I had a big roster. We're talking 110 kids, and that's a great thing. Obviously, a testament to all the stuff that we did, but it comes with its own unique challenges too. So it's been awesome being at Cocoa Beach and being able to dive into the community, and I just know that they're thirsty. They're thirsty for, and this school they're thirsty for a winning program, one that makes them proud. So we accomplished the mission of building that foundation, which is important every spring. So I'm excited to build on that this summer.
Coach, I don't think a lot of people that are either new to Brevard County and enjoy high school football here or are younger understand the tradition of Cocoa Beach sports, athletics, and football. It's got a very storied tradition, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it really does. And it's one that you don't really necessarily understand, like you said, until you kind of get here and you dive into it. And obviously it's riding on the shoulders of all those that have come before us. And I mean, you can name the names. I'm sure if I start naming them all, you'll probably start to go, oh, that's a Cocoa Beach guy. That's a Cocoa Beach guy.
Right.
And these are all legendary guys in the county. And so to kind of follow in their footsteps is exciting for me to kind of build on that tradition. And I think, as well as I do, when you can marry a successful program with the traditions that are already in place, then that momentum it's really hard to put out, and the fire starts to get lit. We just got to grow the confidence again here. And at the end of the day, it's about stability. I mean, let's be real. This athletic director role, the head football position, I got rising seniors that have been here since 7th grade that are going to be on, I think, their 5th head football coach. So, I mean, having stability in place here. My son's going to be an 8th grader. My daughter's going to be a 7th grader here. So, my principal, Tim Powers, former head football coach, his kids are going to be in middle school. One's going to be a freshman. Like, we kind of view ourselves like on a 6 to 7 month contract, 6 to 7 year contract here.
Sure.
We're definitely going to get our kids through graduation, but that in essence provides stability into roles that are critical to making sure that those programs are able to, last and sustain and have success now, but also build it for the future too. So I don't know. I'm excited, man. It's obviously a new challenge, but one thing I've realized here is the community and the school, they're desperate for it. And people are ready to jump and support the beach. But, it's got to be matched with the product on the field and all the stuff we do in the community, too.
You got a nice new press box there. We just need to get AT&T or Verizon or somebody to put a freaking cell phone tower up over there so that everything's not pixelated.
Our founders club and, Dave Lowe and Dan Higgins and, those guys have done so many great things here already. And I'm just excited to continue to partner with them and continue to grow it.
You mentioned Tim Powers. What a match made in heaven, you and Coach Powers. I remember when he was at O'Galley over there. And although Coach Sands has done a great job, a lot of people forget Tim Powers was he had that program at 500 or better when he was there. That's for sure.
He's 6 years old. He started at O'Galley. It's kind of crazy. The first game I ever coached as a head coach in the county was Satellite versus O'Galley, and he was the head coach at the time. It's crazy how stuff comes full circle, man.
It certainly is, especially in this county. Coach, all right, when you look at your football team, obviously I know how you coach. I know you want to win. So how are you going to do that with this program this year with what you have coming back and what you have joining the team?
Yeah, well, it starts with our coaching staff. And I have Coach Rick Dormany coming with me up north, like you said, traveling up A1A. He was my defensive coordinator there at Satellite. So when you can have the defense and the offense where and you can sleep better at night because you got the coaching staff in place, I mean, obviously that's super exciting. We already had some coaches here that I've been able to bring on staff again for this year that are just great men and great leaders and great developers. And Coach Dan Coe being one of those guys. Yeah. He also helps with our strength and conditioning too. I've been able to, get Coach Sean Ashley. He was with me at Satellite. He'll be here helping with our offense and quarterbacks. So it starts with the staff. I mean, that's the bottom line. But then when you look at our returning seniors, I'd say I think we have 9 current returning seniors. And out of that group, 6 of them are guys that have been here either since 7th or 8th grade. So when you got guys that are Cocoa Beach guys that have dedicated themselves to this program from day one in middle school. Those are the guys you got to rely on, right? So, like, we're going to build it and we're going to do extremely well based on how strong they push us. But when you can marry a great senior class with a great staff, you know, a lot can be done, and the impossible can become possible. So it's exciting to build on that. That's what's already here, and obviously grow on top of that too for next year.
You know, gosh, man, I feel old. I can remember covering Coach Ashley when he was playing at Florida Tech. Yeah, man, goodness gracious. Wow. Coach, I love Coach Dorminey. I mean, to me, Coach Dorminey, you know, is the kind of guy I like to play for. You know, I mean, I just love that intensity. I love Coach Dorminey's knowledge, man, just of the game in general. So that's a great staff you have assembled there, Coach. Let's talk about some of the players. Obviously, coaches, they need to lean on players. Who are some of the guys that you're going to depend on to help get your program established there?
Yeah. Offensively, it starts with our quarterback, Remy Vigney. He's a returning sophomore. Had a ton of reps last year as a freshman at the quarterback position, and you know, and it's kind of weird. He reminds me a little bit of Gage Malkin, man. He doesn't necessarily. He's not going to like wow you, you know, tall or whatever. But he's strong. He's
lunch pail.
Yeah, and he's got a lunch pail demeanor. Steel cage mind. So I'm excited about him. We've got a couple really kind of bookends on our offensive line. Madden Fredenberg, who finished top 3 in the state in wrestling, already ranked number 1 for next year, won the Cape Coast Conference in the heavyweight. Jackson Rains, our right tackle, is also a returning starter. And then Max Mitchell as well on the offensive line, a young guy that I'm already really excited about to grow. I'm coaching the offensive line too, so you know I'm always
of course you are.
I'm always a little bit biased towards those guys. And then from receiving wise, we have returning Santi Chavez and Aaron Garber. Aaron Garber had just an amazing spring game for us, basically led us on offense.
Good athlete, man.
We got a little young rising ninth grader, Cayman Veras. He's out there, Ryder Veras' little brother, and he's also doing extremely well. And Santi will be somebody we rely on heavily to be able to get the ball in space in the slot. So excited for that side of the ball. And then obviously defensively, that's where we return the most starters. I think we returned 9 out of 11 guys on defense.
Wow.
And obviously led by Coach Dorminey. We're super excited for that group. Little fun fact about our D-line, it's going to be coached by Brandon Fontroy, who was at O'Galley. And funny enough, he didn't even realize this when he came here and got the job, but his head football coach at O'Galley was Tim Powers. So,
oh my goodness.
We're building a little family over here, man. I don't know how it is, but our defensive line wise, Zach Whitaker, he's not only our vocal leader on defense, but he's also one of our cogs in our wheel. And Satchel Gash and Jack Matson are holding that group down. Ryan Rogers and Kyler Coe at the linebackers, and Sean Brodigan and Brennan Burke and Brady Supp and all these guys in the back end. So a lot of guys returning, Cam Williams as well. So it's I don't know. I'm excited for the defensive group, but like you said, I'm mostly excited for the fact that they get to be coached by Coach Dorminey, because I know the impact he can make.
Oh, he's definitely going to make an impact. Coach, let me ask you this. Sunshine State Athletic, so Sunshine State Atlantic Coast Conference is what you're in. You've done this before. You did it at Satellite, and it was very successful for you. What will you bring from how you did it at Satellite to here at the beach, Coach? Because it was a thing of beauty to watch at that school down the street. I'll say that. I'll follow your line there. At that school down the street. Yeah, I know. At that school down the street. But what you did there, Coach, was really, truly incredible. And I got to tell you, I see a lot of similarities here in, Sunshine State so talk about that a little bit, because I think one of the things that you did there that I don't think it's talked about enough is how you instilled a want to win in the postseason tradition with those bowl games that you played in.
Yeah, and I think there's a recipe, and I will say that the independent schedule isn't necessarily the end all be all, but obviously it's a vehicle to be able to offer your kids an opportunity to be competitive year in or week in and week out. But I mean, when you're starting over a new program, and for the last decade or so, and including when I was there at Satellite, like just kind of this, just had been through some tough times, been through the doldrums, and you have to be able to instill a confidence of winning, but also that kind of hate for losing. You don't want to become numb to it, and that's something that I felt like the independent schedule gave us an opportunity to allow our program to feel what that felt like, right? And know what it takes, how to believe, how to behave, what the work looks like to be able to get there, and then just work through the process of, going year in and year out and playing in the bowl games, feeling what the postseason felt like. And even if it wasn't, the traditional way, and sometimes you have to get creative to be able to offer your program an opportunity to grow. And that's what we were able to do. And I do feel we'll do the same thing here. And it's a phased operation, and you kind of have these watermarks for where you want your program to be. And maybe you hit that sooner than you think, or maybe you hit that a little bit later than you think. But that kind of gives you a gauge when it's time to take the next step, So we always said when it was time to go, when we went undefeated as an independent at Satellite, we were ready to get back into the district. And we did that in the COVID year, that 2020 year. We went into it was when we did that Division I, Division II deal, and then we ended up going undefeated in that group. And then we were like, okay, next year we're going in, and we did. And obviously we kind of exceeded expectations, 10 wins and regional final. And I mean, we were like, all right, we'll get back in, we'll go 5-5, 7-4. But then all of a sudden, like, here we are, it was like momentum just took effect.
Over at Lando Lakes winning football games. It was crazy. It was a great time. We loved it. Yeah. But I just will never forget those rings you got, those kids, for beating Father Lopez. And that spoke volumes about, how you were handling it. And look, I mean, there's your schedule on the screen there. So, I mean, you've got 3 Brevard County teams on the schedule, Space Coast, Bayside, and Holy Trinity. So, I love the fact that this is what it's going to be for Cocoa Beach. And I'm excited, Coach. I'm excited with you to see how this is going to pan out.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, it's like, we always felt strongly, even though we were independent, that, the bulk of our schedule had to be Brevard County teams. And, the way I took over the schedule this year, I mean, we were kind of last minute and I had to kind of throw it together. So, I mean, we're excited about it, but obviously as we move forward and moving on in the years, like we want to include more teams in Brevard. So I just think it's important for our kids that these are the kids they compete against in Pop Warner, week in and week out. Like there's a different vibe to when it's a team that and guys that that you're playing against. And I mean, when you're building a schedule, it's like you always want the bulk of the schedule to be 50-50 games. Like the ball falls one way or the other, and you may either win or lose. And then you want a few games where you're going to walk in and you're the dominant team, and then you want a few games where you get your butt beat a little bit too, So there's got to be a good mixture for it. I feel good about where we're at, but there's going to be some big time changes in our schedule moving forward in these coming years, and incorporating more county teams and getting our kids exposure that they need.
Coach, you very well may see. I mean, listen, not everyone's thrilled with the FHSAA, and a lot of programs, Coach, for no other reason than want to, are making switches. So you just never know what other Brevard County teams you may see in the SSAA, and that's coming from other coaches around the county. Here with Cocoa Beach Athletic Director and Head Football Coach Ted Kimmey. Coach, as we get set to wrap up here with you, how have you, obviously I know you were an assistant athletic director at the school up the street. How have you been able to, how have you handled all of this? I mean, I know you were there last year, but now as football becomes the primary focus moving forward here, how are you doing it?
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, at the end of the day, like my primary role here obviously is to serve as the athletic director day in and day out. I mean, my when I wake up in the morning, that's my first thought is, what can we do to better Cocoa Beach athletics? But football is obviously a huge piece of that. So, my name's attached to it too, so no stone will get left unturned in that side. I can tell you that, same as I did last year in the athletic department as well. And we're excited to keep growing from that side. Next year we're adding beach volleyball. So we're excited to kind of continue to grow our sports here at Cocoa Beach, and but also, lean into what we do well here. And obviously our academics are crazy great. And we just got great people, man. And when you got great kids and a great administration and great coaches, you can accomplish a lot. So I'm going to have to delegate to our people pretty well during the fall. But we've got awesome people in place to help with that stuff. But, it's exciting, man. And my wife and I kind of laughed. I mean, it is the truth, though. I mean, if you think about it, like my son's on the football team. I went to every single football game last year as an athletic director, both home and away. I'm there already. So, it's not like there's going to be more time required, but you know how it comes as a head coach. There's going to be more, but at the same time, I'm still going to be. I would be there anyway. So it kind of just from a family perspective and a time perspective, it still kind of really makes sense for us. So it's exciting to kind of add on to that piece too.
One or two more for you here. Well, so let me ask you this question. Okay, so one of all right, I'm going to throw this one to you, and I'll get in Gotti's ear here. When do you think one of the days we can get back?
I know where you're going with this.
When can we get back to battling for the surfboard, Coach?
That's part of. I just mentioned the big time changes we have coming in our schedule. That's part of it. All right, so there's a surfboard that's sitting in a weight room over there at that school that's got cobwebs on it because it's been there so long, and we want to help dust that off and get it back, man. So I'm making it known right here on publicly. We want to get it rolling, baby. So
let's go.
And of course, one of my best friends in the world is TJ Gaudy. So we talk about it all the time. So it's coming. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Like I said, this year we couldn't make it happen because of all the craziness. I got the job, in January. The schedule's already got to get done, but it's coming, baby. The beach bowl will be back. The county deserves it. Both schools deserve it, man.
I love to hear that. I love the enthusiasm to hear. And I got to be honest with you, Coach. I'll have to do some research on this, but I'd be willing to bet you're probably one of the only coaches to ever probably coach for both of those teams as the head coach or any rival. I'll have to look into that. That'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. You're right. I never even thought about that. But
yeah,
you're probably right. It's one of the few.
Yeah, Coach, I know community service is a big thing to you, and I always ask you this question, and I didn't want to forget to ask it now. I know you, and I always thank you for what your service to this country and what you did, and it was tremendous. So what do you have planned for these student athletes this summer? Because I know how heavily involved you want your teams in the community.
Yeah, so we're getting the flag fundraiser going. So that'll be the first time in school history here that we've done something like that. So I'm sure I know you've followed what we did there at Satellite, putting the 10,000 flags driveways for the 4th of July holiday, and we're going to be doing that in the Cocoa Beach community, which will be awesome. What's really cool about those cards that we leave at each flag is that we really just kind of say, this isn't for donation purposes. It's really just to celebrate America and celebrate the holiday, and we also invite them to a game, come on out. So I think when you can kind of extend the olive branch and say, hey, we want you involved. We want you at our games on Friday and Thursday nights. And so I'm excited for that piece. And we do have a player here, Sean Brodigan. His mom is the principal at Roosevelt Elementary, and it's right next door to Cocoa Beach. We've already started to discuss. We're going to do some visits with the football team to do some reading to the elementary kids.
Nice.
So we've already got some things rolling there, and I've already started to partner with the Cocoa Beach city as well. We're going to be doing some beach cleanups this summer too, man. So it's already started, man.
I think you've had programs where kids went out and actually saved citizens from wildlife in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the viral video of the, and I'm sure you've seen it at some point, but where that old military plane for the air show crashed into the
Yes,
water.
Coach Dormady, right?
Coach Normandy ran into the water. Yeah. We just don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah, that's all right, Coach. They certainly, you are, Coach, you've always been, you've always been one of my favorites. I absolutely love talking to you, and good luck. I mean, I know you're going to make this a successful athletic program, and it's already a successful one, but the football program, Coach, I'm excited for you and for your staff, and good luck, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Always the best. We appreciate what you do for the county, my man. Always.
Appreciate you. For Cocoa Beach head football coach and athletic director Ted Kimmey, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network. Have a great night, everybody.